welcome back everyone to the video series dedicated show on MTV that's giving us exactly what we want. More shots of CT's dog Chewbacca. That's right, we're talking about The Challenge Season 5 Total Madness, The Reunion Part 1. That's right, this is a two-part reunion and we got Part 1. And the challenge reunions, if I could summarize it in one word, boring. I mean, it's never really the most exciting thing of the challenge season is the reunion, and mixing that with a Zoom reunion, which I'm getting tired of. I don't know about you guys, but every single show is doing a Zoom reunion because that's all they can do, and I am kind of getting bored with this kind of format. If you've been even a little bit connected into the challenge Twitter or Instagram verse, you pretty much know all the answers to all these questions. It was pretty standard rehashing over every single thing, every single storyline that we've already gone through and exacerbated by this point. I'm not going to go through every single question, every single answer. What I'm going to be doing is a recap, going over the big moments, the big questions, and going over my review, and then doing something different for tomorrow's Tiny Table Talk. So let's just jump into it, starting with talking about the host of this season's challenge reunion, and that is none other than Pro Bowler, Super Bowl champion, tight end, Vernon Davis. If you did not know his credentials, he says it every time they come back from commercial break. As a challenge host, it's really difficult. I think The Miz is the one person that everybody gives a thumbs up to because he is part of the challenge universe, and everybody else gets kind of crapped on. But I think Vernon Davis, for this being one of the first things he's ever doing as a hosting gig to this capacity, but I think he did a pretty standard job. He did a pretty standard, decent job. Right off the bat, we are introduced to the 21 contestants that are joining us for the reunion. We have Jay, Ashley, Bananas, Kaycee, and Josh are in the same house for some reason. Melissa, CT, Nany, Tori, Corey, Kyle, Swaggy C, and Bayleigh, Jenny, Wes, Jenna, Big T, Nelson, Aneesa, Fessy, and Kailah to round out everybody. The way this reunion was formatted is that they would bring up a topic, have a certain number of people within, and then when they changed the topic, they would patch people either in or out to not have 21 people talking at once during this reunion, which I guess makes sense. It just is awkward because a good amount of these people only say like one sentence or don't say much of anything at all and have way less screen time than, say, Kaycee in the actual season. Topic 1, we just rehashed the finals. The main thing that happens within this finals talk, Jenny accepts that the title of being a champion. Bananas says the finals is really tough, and we have the same mic. Bayleigh says that she had her knee really sprained, like very badly, so luckily it wasn't anything worse or something tore in her knee, so that's a good thing. They talk, of course, about Melissa being 4 months pregnant while being on the challenge and being in the finals. This plays well into going into the rumors, quote unquote rumors, of Kyle and Melissa hooking up within the challenge bunker, within the challenge season. And then Kyle makes a joke which talks about how when he heard Melissa was pregnant, that he moved to a different country and changed his name, and when trying to justify this joke and why he would do that, he talks about the challenge fandom looking for him because of the rumors, and that's why he changed his name. For this joke to work out though, I don't think you're changing your name and moving countries if people just think that a rumor is happening. I mean, why wouldn't you just dispel the rumors? You would probably change your name and leave the country when hearing someone is pregnant because you're the father and you don't want to be. That's the joke. The way he explains it is weird. Kyle denies any shenanigans happening within the house. The same thing, Melissa denies everything, and then that's when we get receipts of Kyle getting handsy with Melissa and Kyle getting really close together, sitting on each other's lap, and Kyle denies it, saying that he could do that to anyone, and that doesn't mean anything. And then Vernon Davis turns the question over to Bananas, and he gets kind of verklempt in his throat. He's like, oh, Morgan wouldn't mind that, which Bayleigh's look to Swaggy after Bananas says that is everything. This plays well into going into the whole Kaycee and Nany relationship. And I just want to point out with Nany, she says later in this reunion, like, she says that she's been up since like 4:30 a.m. and she is just exhausted. Maybe her sleep schedule is off, maybe she had a few drinks, you don't know what's going on, but to me it seemed like she was a little bit off throughout this whole reunion. Their relationship is brought up, their friendship is brought up, and of course Kaycee is going with the deny till you die, and Nany falls on the sword saying it was all her, but Kaycee kind of tries to back her up, be like, I'm just a flirty person, we're always flirting and all this other stuff. Nany turns everything on Aneesa, trying to be like, Aneesa, she's looking out for Kaycee instead of me, she should have walked me to the bathroom and said something like, lock it up. You just said about yourself that you were blacked out. Like, there was gonna be no reasoning with you in that night. So you trying to put it back on Aneesa, it ain't happening. Nany is unplugging her mic, walking away, and we're only at the 24-minute mark. Now we have a good mixture of what happened with Kaycee and Nany. We move towards the Kaycee and Bayleigh situation, and they talk about the pact that they came into the house with, that they had a mutual understanding that they were going to be having each other's back, that they wouldn't go after one another, that they would have a big brother pact with one another. Kaycee then puts it on Bayleigh, saying that, oh, I heard in the tribunal that you were throwing me under the bus, and so I just thought that our ties were cut, and so I was coming after you. And of course, nothing gets resolved in all of this. Nothing gets resolved in any of these topics or these questions or anything to that nature. So we find out that Bayleigh and Kaycee really haven't talked since the season ended, and their friendship is non-existent. Now, speaking of a friendship that is dead and gone, now we bring up a friendship that was blossomed within the season, and that is Wes and Bananas. This is where they both shine because both love the camera, both love talking about each other. So they were talking about how at the VMAs, that's when they decided to bury the hatchet. Vernon Davis then turns it on everybody else and asking them, oh, did you know that Bananas and Wes were working with one another? And everybody is saying that they didn't. They didn't know that Bananas and Wes were working together, but they're like shown in every episode at the beginning of this season, hugging each other, joking around with one another, being very, very close with one another. Like, if the bunker was as boring and as miserable as everybody says, like, you should notice the two people always hanging around and laughing with one another, and that if they were on seasons in the near future, that they would still work with one another, that they had a good time working with one another. Topic of meltdowns, and we talk about like 3, the Melissa versus Josh. Melissa blamed it on the pregnant hormones, and Josh was not feeling this reunion whatsoever. He wasn't feeling this reunion. I don't know if he is just having cabin fever, not in the joking mood, because Wes was trying to joke around with him at one point, and he was just like, whatever I say is going to get twisted, so I don't even want to talk. So we don't even get much from Josh in this whole scenario, but him and Melissa say they are cool with one another. Then we go into the Ashley versus Bananas. Bananas says that snakes respect snakes, and Ashley was like, was I trying to make friends? Yes, that's part of the game, but also I want to have people to talk to in the house. We're in a bunker. Why would I just isolate myself and not have like any friends whatsoever in this house? That is just dumb. Vernon Davis brings up one of Ashley's tweets where they were talking about how there's no real storylines happening in the house, and why not we bring up the whole Morgan debate. You could tell that they are annoyed that this was brought up, but Jay was like, I talked to Bananas earlier on in the house saying that whatever happened between Morgan and me, that's all between us, not between you and me, Johnny, so let's just throw that under the bridge. Then we move into the Josh versus Swaggy C fight. We find out that Josh knew all along that Swaggy C and Bayleigh were working with Wes. He came up to them and said, hey, you can work with him if you want. I'm not going to tell you how to run this game, but just don't come after me. Apparently he thought they were coming after him, so he was coming after Swaggy C. Both thought what each other said was and did was disrespectful for one another. That's why the whole fight, it doesn't seem like they have a very strong friendship after this show. Then we move into the CT versus Jay elimination. CT, of course, does not regret his decision to go into the elimination because he wanted his shot to get the Red Skull and be done with it. And Jay is still in shock and awe that he was able to beat such a legend like CT. We talked about Jay versus Rogan. There must have been some jokes or happening behind the scenes or while this was being played, while we were, because there was people just laughing while we were seeing Jay getting thrown down. Maybe it's funny now that we know that everything is okay, but it did not seem like the most appropriate time to just be laughing. And then we go into Kailah and Bear, which we get the same old song and dance. Again, if you have been on Twitter or Instagram at all throughout this whole situation, you know how this all played out. Kailah was not happy in her relationship coming into the challenge house, hooked up with Bear because it was a way out and she was bored. And then, was boredom a reason to cheat? No, but I mean, that's the excuse that we're going with. So she hooked up with Bear. She stayed with him in the UK for 2 weeks. Now she has a new boyfriend. Everybody's moved on. It's been months since this happened. After all this, we come to the final segment of this challenge reunion, part 1, and we come into what is being known, or what I'm deeming it as, the most pointless or useless segment of the reunion. And the most pointless segment in this reunion is Zach coming in to join Jenna and then Vernon Davis asking, hey, what did you find that put your relationship in jeopardy? And then Zach says, I'm just going to deflect any of your questions. We're not going to talk about this. So why are you even here? Why? Why are you even here then, man? And then Vernon Davis flips it on Jenna saying, hey, if the roles were reversed, would you have acted the same way? And Jenna pretty much backs up Zach's behavior in this thing. And let me tell you right now, even if Jenna gave him the ultimatum, Zach wouldn't have came back. Zach wouldn't have done anything. He would have stayed in the game, done his thing. So womp womp with this whole situation. And that's pretty much it. Realistically, Jay didn't have a whole lot to say. CT was bored at one point. I want to say that right now, CT has the best quote of the whole reunion, and saying, can you ask me my 2 or 3 questions so I don't have to be here for 6 hours? Thank you, CT, for saying the truth, because he was only in 3 episodes. CT is here because of reputation, and the audience really likes him, and he has other things that he wants to do. We hardly got anything from Big T. She just mentioned stuff on Jay's elimination. Then we had Nelson come in for the whole Kailah and Bear situation. I mean, there's a lot of people. Fessy was hardly in this thing. I mean, you could pinpoint a lot of people who hardly talked. Tori said very minimal to nothing. Nany just left because she was tired of everybody and everything. Josh hardly spoke. Kailah hardly spoke. So it's like we had 21 people and maybe 5 people spoke very consistently. And like I said, nothing new ground was not broken in any of these questions, in any of these talks or anything. So I think that this reunion was kind of a dud. I would have to say, if I had to give it a ranking 1 through 5, I would have to give it a 1.5. I mean, this was legit boring in my opinion. And CT, with his feet kicked up, looking at his phone while the reunion was happening, is like me during this reunion as it was going on, except I was taking notes, so I didn't have to really watch it too closely. We're gonna get part 2. Part 2 is Behind the Madness, and that's gonna happen next week, where we're gonna see some stuff they should have shown, stuff that they edited out of the show. It looks like there's going to be a lot of fights shown. Why were those edited out? Well, we're going to have to wait and see, and we're going to have them talking about it. So that's at least more exciting to me on the surface level than what we got now. This was an hour and a half for a lot of nothing, in my opinion. But what did you think about the reunion? Let me know that in the comment section below. Also, leave me anything and everything you have about this reunion, whether it's like a review about the reunion or a question about the season that you would want me to answer or anything like that. Let me know in the comment section below, because tomorrow I'm going to be doing the same thing that I did last week on Friday for Tiny Table Talk, where I'm going to get your comments, your questions, and I'm going to be taking those and answering them, replying to them on air, and that's going to be the whole Tiny Table Talk because there's really not much to rehash over this whole thing. So let me know anything and everything about this reunion in the comment section below. What do you think about it? Let me know that, and thank you so much for watching. While you're down there, hit that like and subscribe button. I'll be back really soon with more challenge content, more content in general, but until then, peace.